Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me at Sequel Bits. I've been really looking forward to this talk, and I have no idea, but I've been put on at the same time as my husband, Alex Whittle, so he's talking about Power BI at the same time. So my name's Holly. I'm a TEDx speaker. I'm a director of two digital companies, Fraggerworks and also Purple Frog, which you might be a bit more aware of. But I was voted one of the digital women to watch in the UK. I won a Woman Who Awards nomination. I also got a certificate from the British Computer Society for my work in digital. So your challenge for the next 20 minutes is to try and be present in the moment and really think about how you can possibly detox your lives when we're all in tech and we're all using digital. I've got my laptop here, I've got my phone next to me, we're all being buzzed constantly. So life was very different when I was growing up. And I've just put some childhood memories up there. I remember when there was only one computer in the school on a trolley that got wheeled about. It was a BBC computer. It couldn't really do very much. I think you could program it to say, "Hello world," and it would reply, and that was about it. We had teletext for TV, so we would look up there what programs we wanted to watch. If you wanted to get on the internet, you had to do phone dial-up. If you wanted to play a game, you had to physically load it onto your computer with the game, and it would load half the game. You'd take the tape out and put the other game in. We had Walkmans to listen to music, and then you'd have to wind it back with a pencil when all the tape came flying out everywhere. And basically, we thought robots were going to take over the world when we were watching things like Star Trek, Star Wars, Terminator. So it was a very different world to the world that we now find ourselves in. And technology is changing really fast. Again, when I was at school, you used encyclopedias and books to look up information. In fact, there were people that went around selling encyclopedias. We used maps to navigate, pieces of paper. We would end up in the middle of nowhere and not know where we were. We went into shops to buy things, and we had to wait for our favorite TV show. So if you missed it one week, that was it. It was gone. So very, very different to the instant, consumer-based, real-time, fast, everything's at your fingertips. You know, we've now progressed to things like poo emojis that we never knew we needed. So when I first started writing this talk, I was thinking about what we mean by digital detox. And if you think about the zombie apocalypse from Hollywood movies, what we think it looks like is very different to the reality when, in fact, we're all stuck to our phones, our smart devices, our tablets, and our computers. So when we're thinking about growing up, what generation would you say that you are? So we've got baby boomers, 1946. We've got Generation X, 1965. Zennials, 1975. Millennials, Generation Y, 1980. iGen, or Gen Z, 1995, and Gen Alpha. Hopefully there's no Gen Alphas in the room, because that basically means you'd be a baby. But depending on when you were born, your approach to tech is very, very different. So if you think about things like millennials versus Generation X, how they parent their children is very, very different. 48% of millennials thought it's really important for their child to have an online presence, versus 27% of Generation X. 1 in 5 millennials considered their baby's name based on the domain name availability before they chose the child's name. 107 is the average number of posts online before a child can even walk. And 38% of millennials considered creating a website for their child. So top reasons that parents are saying that they're buying children's domain names are literally to reserve it for future use. They might want to use it to do a digital baby book of photos. They're using it as a tool for children to learn the internet. And this has made a new normal. Kids just pick up phones and they just start pressing buttons and playing with it and just seeing what happens. Very different to like my parents' generation, where they'll pick up an iPad or an iPhone and they're like, where do I go and what happens if I press that? And it's very unintuitive to them. Children just pick up tech and they just do it. But that can lead to digital overload, and it's all about balance. We need to set an example for any children in our lives. We need to set an example for each other. and we need to think about the effects of too much screen time. And things like lowered self-esteem, which is linked greatly to social media. And what we've just been through in the past 2 years has only amplified that for some people, where all we had left was our tech, our screens, social media, and technology. So there is a lot of science behind all this, so I have got the science bit in here. Have you ever heard of something called persuasive design? Apps are actually designed to harness the part of your brain responsible for forming habits and addictions. So careful design, such as colors and animations, they create something called the slot machine effect. And that's also known as the fear of missing out, which we probably currently sort of refer to as FOMO, so you might have heard that more. So hashtag FOMO, the fear of missing out, is that others might be having a reward whilst you're not. The 3 dots on your phone when you're typing is the anticipation of a reward. So you stay on text message, you stay on Messenger, when you see those little dots jumping and it's triggering a response in you, you're waiting for that response. And actually that response it triggers in you is a small stress response because you're waiting for something to happen or not happen because you're unsure of the outcome. What are they going to say? So at the same time, it's also stimulating a dopamine release. So this is building stimulation, and it keeps you coming back for more and more. That's all part of the design of these phones that we're using. Refreshing. So when the iPhone released, you could pull it down, it would bounce back, and it would refresh the screen. So this is a habit-forming feature that you're unlikely to be aware of. Social media streams and news streams, you carry on scrolling, and indefinitely in some cases when you get to things like Twitter, it'll just go on forever. You're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So when you're feeling a little bit jaded and you want some kind of reward, you find yourself pulling the screen down and refreshing it, and then you get new content. You're rewarded with a new stream to scroll through. Things like likes, so you're probably aware of this as a habit-forming addiction to phones. Social validation online, so wanting to be liked in general. So having at least a couple of people agree with something that you've put out there, your thoughts, your opinions, or your skill at sharing other people's content is at the heart of this persuasive design. Seeing a thumbs up, a heart, or a vote, or whatever it is the ultimate reward. And it keeps you coming back for more. It keeps you coming back to check. Have people commented? Have they replied? Have they liked? Have they engaged? So it's a very addictive thing once you start posting on social media. But I quite like the curse of the red dot. And I didn't coin this phrase, but it does actually make a big difference to me. So the red notifications on your home screen to say that you've got X amount of emails, Twitter notifications, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. As soon as you open your phone, you're bombarded with all of these different notifications. And again, this is releasing a cortisol response because it wants you to take action and do something with it. But persuasive tech is going to get better. So things like artificial intelligence and AI is evolving because we're trying to identify when we're ready for things like a persuasive nudge or reward. So in terms of social media and gaming, this might seem a bit terrifying, but there's no regulations at the moment in terms of how this technology is used. But it can actually be put to very good use. So if you think about the elder generation, if they need to be nudged to remind themselves to take a tablet, or we want to pick up an iPad and dial in to see how they're doing, people are wearing wearable tech, alarms around them. So in the health industry, you're seeing this persuasive tech really growing and evolving. And dopamine labs use an algorithm that sends push notifications to patients to try and get them moving post-surgery. And they claim that that algorithm gets patients walking 60% more after surgery than without that technology there. And the way that we can start managing things like digital overwhelm is, ironically, to use tech. So as an employer, I'm starting to notice that when we're employing people, students seem less resilient. They seem to have a lot more anxiety. They don't know how to wait. If we go back to the start of my talk when I was saying I'd have to wait for my favorite TV show, they don't know what that's like. They can just binge watch the whole series in one go. They've never had to wait and learn how to do things, make up their own time, go outside and just play in the river or the fields or the trees. They've got tech stuck in front of them to keep them entertained. They're unable to think for themselves. So what can we do to make things better? So using technology to help technology. So I've put a couple of different apps up there that you can download. And I've actually got this as a freebie download on my website. I'll put the link up a little bit later, but it's fraggleworks.com/SQLBits. But apps like Forest, if you open it up and leave the app open, you get rewarded by watching trees growing on your phone. If you try and go into another app, the trees start dying. So it's about trying to stop you using your phone. Step lock actually locks you out of your phone until you've done an exercise goal, until you've done so many steps. The dinner mode app stops you checking your phone while you're trying to have dinner together. So it forces you to talk to each other. Fabulous Motivate Me is a goal planner and tracker designed to help you reset habits. And then Moment, screen time control, allows you to see how much time you're spending on your phone and also which apps are consuming most of your time. So my kind of thing is about being online whilst offline. And in business, there are many ways to do that. So if you're using things like social media, you can enable messenger bots that lets people chat whilst you're offline. It's chatting away to a messenger bot, which is answering simple pre-programmed questions. Scheduling, you can schedule social media posts. You don't have to do it in the moment, and that can free you up from having to be stuck to your tech. Chatbots, you can have instant replies. If you're using things like Facebook, you can turn on an instant reply as you would an out of office. Email, turn on the out of office. I'm only going to check my emails between 9 and 10. If you want me, call me. It actually starts changing the way that people interact with you. So it's using tech to help combat tech. So try an app to monitor usage. Try disabling notifications. A game changer for me was actually turning off the red dots. So when I looked at my phone, I'm going to go into Twitter when I want to go and check it, not when I feel forced to look at it because I can see 47 notifications. If you feel like you're addicted to Facebook, move it off your home screen so it's not there as soon as you unlock your phone. Plan time to go through messages and focus on being present. And there's a really interesting book that Catherine Price wrote, which you can find on Amazon. It's called How to Break Up with Your Phone. So it's about setting yourself up for success, creating triggers that are going to remind you of goals that you want to achieve. If you want to spend more time reading, leave a book on your bedside table. If you want to cook more, put some shopping lists or recipes out. Set up a charging station on your phone that's not in your bedroom to stop you picking it up last thing at night and affecting your sleep. Avoid triggers. So avoid anything that's going to set yourself up for failure. So delete social media apps, maybe just use them on a desktop instead. Disable notifications. Establish a rule for yourself, your partner, your family, your colleagues on how you want to be interacted with. So my detox challenge for you is making sure that you actually have time for the things that are going to energize your body. Eating breakfast, drinking water. Declutter the space around you. The way you're actually working can actually affect how you're thinking. So clear all that clutter away. Use the lovely things that you've bought. I had a habit of storing everything for best and not enjoying the things I'd actually bought with my hard-earned money. Try taking a break from your phone or social media. You know, is the world really going to end if you're offline for 20 minutes, going for a walk? Write short-term goals and unsubscribe from any unnecessary emails. There's even apps you can plug in that will actually do this for you. Go for a walk, get outside, journal things, try going to bed earlier. And that's made a massive difference to me. I found I was getting to bed later and later and later and having really bad sleep. The minute you go to bed before midnight, your sleep is instantly better. Practice listening and being present. But if you're thinking, I can't really do all that, or I can't certainly do all of it at the same time. Short challenge, have a nice beer. Try staying focused and positive. Don't freak out. Make sure you're wearing pants. So, free stuff. You can get all of the apps and the tools and the tips that I've shared on my website, fraggleworks.com/SQLBits. There's 2 different downloads on there. And if you want to start thinking more about Tech Timeout, have a look at the Tech Timeout website. This is where your company can sign up. And you can either do it as an individual or an entire business, and you all take Tech Timeout at the same time, and you challenge each other to do it. So I'm sure there's plenty of other websites all over the world that do this. This is just the UK version. So remember, your time is precious. Don't waste it living someone else's life. I really like that quote from Steve Jobs. So I hope you've enjoyed that talk and it's made you think about how you can use tech better. Please do leave feedback. It does make a difference if you're a speaker. And I know that they're trying to donate saplings to the National Trust for every piece of feedback that gets left. Every feedback form is also being entered into a draw. So it's in your interest to do it as well. Plus, it helps to know, did you enjoy my talk? So thank you very much, SQL Bits. And I will be around. I'll leave that up there throughout the rest of the conference. So thank you again.